The hidden stress signals. Owners miss, science explained. Your dog has been trying to tell you something every single day, and there's a good chance you've been missing it. Not the big, obvious signals, the barking, the growling, the hiding under the bed. Something quieter. A lick of the lips when nothing is being eaten. A yawn in the middle of a walk. A single sudden shake, as if shrugging off water that isn't there. Most people assume their dog is calm simply because it isn't misbehaving. Science suggests something very different, that dogs are almost constantly broadcasting their emotional state through a language of small, easily overlooked movements. By the end of this, you won't be able to unsee it. You'll start noticing this language everywhere, in your own living room, on your own walks, in your own dog. Why this behavior matters. Here's the problem. Most stress signals in dogs don't look like stress to us. We're primates. We read emotion through faces, furrowed brows, tight lips, wide eyes. Dogs read emotion through the whole body, and their signals evolve to be subtle on purpose. In the wild, an animal that broadcasts distress too loudly invites predators or challengers. So dogs developed a quieter vocabulary, one built for other dogs to read at a glance, and for humans to almost completely miss. This gap in translation has real consequences. Owners often say a dog attacked out of nowhere, but slow-motion video analysis of dog bites, reviewed by canine behaviorists, tends to reveal a very different story. The warning signs were there minutes, sometimes tens of minutes earlier. The dog wasn't sudden. We were slow. That's not a failure of attentiveness. It's a translation gap. And once you know the vocabulary, the gap starts to close. Not just for safety, but for connection. A dog who feels consistently understood is a dog who trusts more easily, relaxes faster, and bonds more deeply. Understanding stress signals isn't just about avoiding bites. It's about noticing the small moments your dog needs you, long before anything goes wrong. The science, a body built to whisper. Researchers who study canine ethology describe an entire category of low-level stress behaviors, sometimes called calming signals or displacement behaviors. The concept was popularized by Norwegian dog trainer Turid Rugaas, whose close observational work cataloged dozens of these small gestures, and later research in canine cognition has continued to explore how consistently dogs use body language, rather than vocalization, as their primary channel of communication. The list is longer than most owners expect. Lip-licking without food nearby, yawning without tiredness, a sudden interest in sniffing the ground during a tense moment, turning the head away, a raised paw, blinking rapidly, a tightly closed mouth replacing loose, relaxed panting, or a tail that drops or tucks without an obvious trigger. Individually, any one of these could mean nothing. Context is everything, but that's exactly why they're missed. A single yawn looks like tiredness. A single lip lick looks like nothing at all. There's a physiological layer underneath this too. Stress in dogs, as in humans, involves the release of cortisol, a hormone tied to the body's threat response system. Studies measuring cortisol in dogs, through saliva or hair samples, have found elevated levels in situations owners often perceive as harmless: crowded dog parks, loud households, being hugged tightly, prolonged eye contact from unfamiliar people. The dog's hormonal system is responding to something real. The behavior we call a calming signal is often the visible tip of that invisible hormonal shift, the body trying to de-escalate a situation before it becomes a bigger problem. But that's only part of the story. These signals aren't only defensive. Many of them are also appeasement behaviors, small offerings of peace, aimed at us or at other dogs, meant to lower tension before it rises. Understanding that distinction changes everything about how we should respond. What your dog is really communicating. When a dog licks its lips while being hugged, it typically isn't affection. It's discomfort, expressed in the gentlest way the dog's body knows how. Hugging restricts a dog's ability to flee, which, for an animal whose primary defense strategy is distance, can feel far more threatening than it looks to us. This is one of the most common mismatches between human affection and canine comfort. We hug because it soothes us, and inadvertently create tension for the dog we're trying to comfort. A yawn during a vet visit, a training session, or a tense car ride usually isn't tiredness. It's the nervous system trying to regulate itself, the same way a person might exhale slowly before a difficult conversation. Turning away, or the so-called whale eye, where the whites of a dog's eyes become visible as the head turns but the eyes stay locked on something, often signals a dog that wants space but isn't ready to escalate to a growl. This is, in a sense, the dog's diplomacy. It's asking politely before it has to ask firmly. Context always changes the meaning. A tail held low and wagging slowly during a greeting can mean uncertainty rather than excitement. The same low tail combined with a lowered head and tucked back ears in a dog cornered by another dog is closer to please don't. We'll come back to why context matters so much in a moment, because it's also where most of the popular myths fall apart. Common myths. My dog looks guilty when I come home to a mess, so he knows he did something wrong. This is one of the most persistent misunderstandings in dog ownership. What owners interpret as guilt, the lowered head, avoided eye contact, slouched posture, is very likely just a stress response to the owner's tone, posture, or facial expression upon discovering the mess, not an admission of wrongdoing. In behavioral studies designed to test this, dogs displayed the same guilty look whether or not they had actually done anything, simply based on how their owner reacted. The dog isn't confessing, it's reading us in real time and responding to our own visible tension. Dominance explains most behavior problems. This idea, once central to popular dog training, has been substantially revised by modern behavioral science. Many behaviors once labeled as attempts to dominate, pulling on the leash, jumping up, resource guarding, are now better explained by simpler causes: excitement, poor impulse control, learned habits, or genuine anxiety. Where evidence is more limited or debated, honest researchers say so directly, rather than defaulting to dominance as a catch-all explanation. A wagging tail always means a happy dog. A wagging tail means aroused, not necessarily happy. Arousal can be joyful anticipation of a walk, or it can be the tense, coiled arousal before a defensive reaction. The speed, height, and stiffness of the wag, along with the rest of the body, determine which one you're looking at. What you should do. Start by watching for clusters, not single signals. One yawn means little. A yawn, followed by lip licking, followed by a stiff, still posture, is a pattern worth paying attention to. Give your dog an exit. When you notice early stress signals, the most powerful thing you can do is create space, physically move back, redirect the situation, or end the interaction, rather than pushing forward and hoping it resolves on its own. This single habit prevents an enormous number of escalations before they start. Avoid forcing affection on your dog's terms rather than the dog's. Save hugs, prolonged eye contact, and face-to-face closeness for moments when your dog is already loose, relaxed, and leaning in, not to comfort a dog who's already anxious, which can unintentionally add pressure rather than reduce it. Use positive reinforcement to build trust in situations your dog finds stressful, pairing mild stressors, nail trims, vet visits, unfamiliar dogs, with something your dog genuinely values, introduced gradually and at a pace the dog can handle. This slow pairing process, sometimes called counter-conditioning, is one of the most well-supported tools in modern behavioral science for changing how an animal emotionally responds to a trigger over time, and perhaps most importantly, resist the urge to punish the signal. A growl, a stiffened body, or a turned head is information, not defiance. Suppressing the signal through correction doesn't remove the underlying stress, it just removes the dog's ability to warn you before something bigger happens. Surprising facts and real examples. Researchers studying wolf communication have noted that wolves rely on many of the same subtle, whole-body signals dogs use, a reminder that this quiet language isn't a domestication byproduct, but something dogs inherited from a highly social, cooperative ancestor that depended on peaceful conflict resolution to survive within a pack. Some working dog organizations that train service and detection dogs now formally teach handlers to recognize early stress signals as part of welfare protocols, precisely because missing them can compromise both animal well-being and task performance. If professionals whose careers depend on reading dogs closely still need formal training in this, it's a reasonable bet that most casual owners are missing plenty too. One particularly striking real-world pattern shows up in group settings like dog parks. The dog quietly sniffing the ground on the edge of the group, seemingly disengaged, is often not the shy or aloof dog people assume. It's frequently a dog actively self-regulating, deliberately disengaging to lower its own arousal before rejoining play. What looks like disinterest is often a coping strategy in action. None of this language is exotic or rare. It's happening in ordinary living rooms, on ordinary walks, in ordinary moments that look completely unremarkable. A yawn on the couch, a lip lick during a photo, a slow tail during a hello. The behaviors were never hidden. They were simply written in a language most of us were never taught to read. The more we understand our dogs, the less mysterious their behavior becomes, and the stronger the bond we build with them.